Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how to do a quick topography site. On our folder for in Dropbox, you should have a folder called Topo Site, and in there should be a Word document that says City of San Antonio. And if you copy and paste that, um, if you open up that Word document, it just select this entire thing, copy and paste it into a web browser, and it should take you to this website. Just there, you should get a little pop-up screen where you just said okay. I think by default, when you open it, it may look something like this. So just zoom around until you find the our site of Opie Naval Park. If for any reason if this map layers is closed, just turn on this little folder map layers and it'll pop back up. Once you find our site, you can turn on the SA imagery and the contours. It'll help you find the exact spot of where our site is located. And here's here's that existing pavilion. So at this point, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take a snapshot of this image, save it to my computer somewhere, and then I'm going to open up a blank version of Rhino, and then type in picture frame or picture. I'm going to select that image I took a snapshot of. Make sure you have orthogonal turned on. And it doesn't matter what size or how big it is when you first bring it in, because we're going to scale it based off of the scale that's down here. So I'm going to just type in scale, select the image, and click somewhere near the 0 marker, and then in my case, or in this example, click on the 100 feet, and then type in 100 feet. So if you double check the distance, I'm in feet and inches. It's coming out at 100 feet. So now then I know this image is to scale. And just to make this a little bit easier to draw, I'm going to rotate my entire image, and I'm going to rotate it where this line along the roof is horizontal. So I'm just type in rotate. Select 2 points that are along that edge. And then again, I selected them without having ortho on. And then when I turn ortho on, if I move my mouse, it'll snap those initial 2 points orthogonally. So now this is horizontal, which makes it a little bit easier. So then essentially what I want to do is I want to get the location of this drawing and start to retrace these curves. Right, so to figure out the distance that I need, this is pretty much what we're looking for. So we need an overall rectangle that is 56 feet by 144 feet. And once you have drawn your existing pavilion, it's going to be that corner is going to be 6 inches away from, I'm sorry, 6 feet away from that corner. So if I start off by just making a rectangle that is 56 feet by 144 feet, might have to rotate this. For now, I'm going to try to line it up as best as I can. So there's that corner, and then I'm just going to move it 6 feet down, make it 6 feet. So there, so that's essentially the distance that I need, the rectangle that I need. So at this point, I just want to start to trace these lines. Right? I just want to make sure that I don't accidentally move my image. So I'm going to put my image on a layer, and I'm going to lock it so I don't accidentally move it. And I have my rectangle on one layer, and I'm going to move to a different layer to start to trace the lines. Right? And then these lines, the ones that I'm going to trace, I'm going to be using a curve command called interpolate points. And either make sure you're snapping, so you have the near turned on, snapping right on the edge of your boundary line. And then what this interpolate curve does is it draws the curve exactly where you click your points. And sometimes the more points you give it, the more accurate it is. So essentially we're just drawing or retracing all these curves. So once all these curves are retraced, they'll essentially all be flat. And what you're going to have to do is move them individually so that it actually gives you a contour. So also on this in this folder, there's an example topography that has the McNay. It's a McNay Rhino file and a McNay image. So when you open up the Rhino file, it should give you something that looks like this. Or your layers might be slightly different. But if you turn a couple layers on and off, I think when you turn yours on, it's like this. I turned the solid one off, and just make sure these layers are turned on. Defaults, site border, contours, and contours elevated. So after you've retraced your entire site with the contours, it should look something like this. Just a flat 2D drawing with all the contour information. And then essentially what you're going to be doing is taking each individual contour and raising it a certain distance. And that's what the green lines are. This site was slightly different. So these contours were set at 5-foot increments. Right, so if you took a distance between these two, it should be 5 feet. But the way you get there is you can just use your gumball, select it, and in this case, just type in 5 feet, and now you're at the exact 5-foot increment. Right, and then again in this example, they just took each line and just raised the next one up 10 feet, 15 feet, 20 feet, 25 feet, 30 feet. So in order to find the distance for yours, if you go back to the original map, you'll see the line at the bottom. This is 853 feet, and the next one is 854. So these lines are set at 1-foot increments. All right, so the next one over is 855, and then 856 is actually, they're skipping it's there, but they're not, they don't have a measurement on there, but they have 857. So again, if you count all the way up, you should get to the distance where you're at. So essentially all you need to do is just note that these lines are towards the bottom and they go up as they move towards the left. So if you've retraced all your lines, I'm going to go back to, or try to find that Rhino file where we were tracing everything. If you essentially retraced everything, you don't need to know that this one down here is 855 and this one's 854. All you need to know that this line is lower than this one, and this one is lower than that one, and this one is lower than that one, and so on and so forth. So then all you need to do is take this original line and raise it up 1 foot. Take this line and raise it up 2 feet. And then take this line and raise it up 3, and then 4, and 5, and 6, 7, 8. so on and so forth. So then that way you can make your own topography. And then once you have this overall topography, then in another video, I'll show you how to make the overall surface so you can have the beginnings of your contour map.